If you are a same-sex couple looking to file for divorce in New York, you would go about starting the divorce in exactly the same way as if you were not a same-sex couple. If you were a heterosexual couple getting divorced in New York, you still fill out the same paperwork. In fact, we now have some paperwork now where it's in the application of, if it's a mutual consent thing, then both of you can actually file the petition together and petition the court for your divorce. In a same-sex divorce, you have assets that need to be divided in a divorce, just as in a traditional divorce. Equitable distribution would still apply in the same exact way in which a traditional divorce would apply. What equitable distribution looks like is a division of your assets and debts in the marriage. When people hear the term equitable, they think equal. They think that it's 50-50. It's not necessarily a 50-50 split. It's just what is fair and equitable. It could be 70-30 or any other percentage. In order to figure out what is a fair and equitable division of your assets, the courts consider and look at a list of factors that they take into account in determining what would be fair and equitable. Some of the factors for equitable distribution include the age and health of the parties, their financial and non-financial contributions in the marriage, how long the marriage has been. These are some of the factors that the courts would take into account in determining how to balance and weigh a division of your assets. In a same-sex marriage situation where the couple's going through divorce and there are children of the marriage, this is a very sticky point for some couples that are going through divorce in a same-sex situation. And the reason is because if the child or any of the children are not biological children of one of the parties in the relationship, unless you did an adoption of the child, you are at risk to possibly losing custody or losing access to that child. For couples who are same sex and they did do a formal adoption of the children, that shouldn't be an issue, but there certainly could be and maybe serious implications if no adoption has occurred. I remember a situation where I was representing one of the spouses in a same sex couple situation. There were two females, and one of the women was the biological parent to the children of the marriage. One of the children was adopted by the other spouse, by my client, and the other child, they were in the process of doing the adoption, but it wasn't completed. Once they started going through the divorce, this became a major issue because obviously there's love, there's connection, there's attachment to the children that you're raising. There was a definite concern with respect to the access that my client would have to both the children. So she actually wound up only having rights to see one child because she adopted that child. And the other child, this is going to sound very strange, but she had the choice. She had an option to choose if she wanted to fight to have those rights for access to the child. And if the other parent would agree, then of course they can have the access schedule. But if the other parent didn't agree, or maybe if my client didn't want to have access to the child, they didn't even have to pursue it because they didn't legally adopt that child. It was a very interesting situation. And depending upon your situation, you might wind up in a similar scenario. We didn't wind up going to litigation and trials and motion practice in that particular case, and it was settled out of court. If you're a same-sex couple going through divorce, you might be wondering, is there a different, separate emotional component to how you'll deal with or manage a divorce compared with other traditional divorces? And there really isn't any difference. You're a human being, an emotional being that is going to go through the same feelings and emotions that anyone else who is going through a difficult time and a breakup. You'll still go through the same grieving process as anyone else who's going through a divorce. If you have any additional questions about same-sex divorce or considering a divorce and if it's right for you, give our office a call and schedule a consultation.